My early life was a little atypical. My birth mother battled and later conquered a drug problem, but put me up for adoption. I spent 3 months in a Houston, Texas orphanage before being adopted into a pretty tumultuous household with a lot of abuse, a lot of poverty, a lot of divorce and remarriage and divorce and remarriage. And I left home right before I turned 17. I started working jobs when I was 14, but left home before I was 17, put myself through college and law school, and moved up from Texas to Missouri sight unseen to begin my legal career in 1990. I began my career first doing appeals for indigent people who had been convicted of serious crimes. And that allowed me to look at hundreds of trial transcripts and see the demeanor of the judges, what kind of arguments the lawyers utilized, what arguments were successful and unsuccessful. And it gave me the opportunity to sort of be a fly on the wall in countless trials before I ever stepped into a courtroom myself. And during my job handling appeals, I won a reversal of a conviction for a man who was wrongfully convicted of an assault inside of a bar. And that prompted me to want to transfer to the trial division for the public defender. And I did that, and I won my first several jury trials. And before I knew it, I was trying a murder case a month on average in my late 20s. And I was successful at that. I was sort of thrown into the ocean on my own and learned to navigate my way through very difficult cases, all of the twists and turns of a jury trial, the unpredictability of each judge, certainly the unpredictability of witnesses and juries along the way. But during that phase of my life, I probably first chaired 36 jury trials, including a lot of murder cases where I won acquittals. When my youngest son was born, I was forced to leave the public defender's office and find a higher paying job. And so I went to a big fancy law firm, and I just found that environment held me back and clipped my wings. And I never really enjoyed being under the thumb of another lawyer. Some of it was ego, but some of it was just about my actual ability. I mean, the fact of the matter is I oftentimes tried more cases than the people who I worked for. And so in 2010, with some help from my ex-in-laws who are like the parents I never had, I ventured out onto my own. And I took anything that would come in the door for a while. That's how I started handling personal injury cases, but also still handling criminal cases and balancing those two things on my own for a dozen years before Jordy and I came together. After many successes as a public defender winning murder cases, I was anonymously nominated for an award here in Missouri that's the highest recognition that a trial lawyer can receive. One lawyer in Kansas City receives this award annually, dating back to the 1950s. It's called the Lon Hocker Memorial Trial Lawyer Award. And I received that when I was in my late 20s for recognition of my outstanding trial work and my work in the courtroom in general. So to me, those judges that I looked up to, for them to bestow that recognition upon me, and the fellow lawyers who have received that award before and after me, puts me in some pretty good company that humbles me. So I've had the privilege to teach in two venues. I'm a volunteer trial advocacy professor at the University of Missouri, Kansas City Law School, right down the street where I went to law school. And I help teach law students the nuts and bolts of being a trial lawyer, because that's something you don't get enough of in a school setting. But I'm especially proud of my role as a mentor in what's called the Trial Academy, put on by our Kansas City Metropolitan Bar Association. And there I have the privilege of teaching relatively young lawyers, people who've been in practice for 5 years or less, oftentimes at big fancy law firms, gifted people who've never seen the inside of a courtroom and don't know thing one about trying a case. And I get to bring this group of young lawyers into a real courtroom with a real case problem and help them dissect and organize that problem, and then get on their feet and do all of the things that lawyers have nightmares about doing sometimes because they just haven't had the chance to do it. Picking a jury, making an opening statement, cross-examining a difficult witness, doing all of the things that you go to law school to do, or at least you think you're going to do. And then sometimes it takes a while before you get that chance. And I feel very lucky that I, early in my career, got to try jury trial after jury trial, sometimes under very daunting circumstances. And I'm just forever grateful for that experience.